least in the initial stages of their career, not be too excited about working for a CVC, because then the CVC's objectives would also be governed by the objectives of the larger corporate. Okay, their remuneration structures, like I said, for example, how many CVCs would have the same kind of carry structure as a financial has, right? So all these things make up this problem, that the question that can you find the best talent, or can you attract the best talent for CVCs? Generally speaking, the CVCs, once their objective is clear, okay, can be much faster than the financial players. CVCs tend to be adventurous or risk averse depending on the tide going on in the market.
Hello everyone, welcome back to TheCapitalNet TV. This is Rakesh, Bhatia again, hosting you on a very interesting conversation on corporate venture capital firms, CVC, which remains to be an important part of the venture investing world today, but still remains to be kind of an unknown and a mystery player when it comes to a lot of founders and other VCs and corporates and why they should be doing it. To have this conversation, we have with us a gentleman whose name is Rajesh Sharma. Rajesh happens to be one of the founding team members of perhaps the oldest corporate VC firm set up in India as part of the Times of India group. It's called the Brand Capital and the Springboard. He spent 25 plus years of his career in the venture capital and CVC world. In his current avatar, he advises the business houses to set up the corporate venture arms, help them set it up, help them define the strategy, and also guide them about the appropriate and the correct ways of structuring and running those businesses. So from here, I would like to jump on the investing side of the CVC, right? Right now, we have been talking about the reasons, objectives, structure, and so on. But then now would like to take a little take from the startup side as well, including the investors themselves. But from the investing side, how do they really go about investing? What I mean by that is probably it has a few sub points to it. One is supposedly being a single LP, single board. Are they really fast at investing, slow at investing, and what is the speed of investing that they really work with?
Good. So, see, again, as I said, it depends on how serious and focused you are at. Are you a tourist investor who just likes to tour out, okay? Or you realize that this is core to my future of my business, okay? Mm-hmm. Generally speaking, the CVCs, once their objective is clear, okay, can be much faster than the financial players, okay? Because they see the strategic objective also. And sometimes what also happens is, it can also be a downside, that CVCs do not spend so much time on the financial and other diligences, okay, which a financial fund would take perhaps sometimes much longer, although
which possibly can make them faster, but they are or not, it all depends on many other factors.
Correct. And the other reason which could make them much faster is, so let's say I'm a financial investor and you bring a crypto project to me, let's say. Okay. Mm-hmm. So as a financial investor, I'll take some time to understand the crypto project. Okay. Mm-hmm. But if you bring the crypto project to a company which is already operating in the blockchain space, right, mm-hmm, it'll be much more easier and faster for that company to understand your crypto proposal. And hence, the CVC may, in that case, be able to move much faster than a financial player.
Interesting. So tell me one thing: how adventurous versus risk averse are the CVCs?
Oh yeah, another interesting question. What I have seen in my practical experiences, that CVCs tend to be adventurous or risk averse depending on the tide going on in the market, which is why I'm saying that their one big problem remains the consistency. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when the markets are good, I have seen CVCs going overboard, hugely overboard. Okay. Mm-hmm. They seem to lose their discipline in those times. Okay. Mm-hmm. And when the tide goes in the other direction, then they become overtly cautious to the extent of even kind of shutting it down, right? So I think that is one big mistake a lot of CVCs do, and which they need to correct. They need to bring in a consistency, a stability to the whole thing, a professional thing. So
Sure.
they should understand that they should pursue their objective very clearly, and not get swayed with the market momentums, because market momentums will always come and go.
Sure.
But to answer your question, so I have seen them swinging on both sides depending on what the market conditions are, and wherein actually they should be focusing on their needs and their objectivities, and swinging accordingly.
Sure. Interesting. So I have probably 2 or 3 more questions on investing before we come to the conclusion of our conversation, Rajesh.
Yeah.
On the investing again, there's a understanding between the founders that either the VC or the CVCs do not come at the early stage, right? They come at the late stage, or they tend not to lead the round. Either of them are right, or what's the general behavior you see?
No, both the observations are correct. Okay. So why historically CVCs have tended to come towards the later stages, okay, is either because of the right stage of fitment, okay, or the ability of the CVC to understand the space.
Sure.
And risk averseness is a part of that. Okay.
Sure.
What happens is that many times, because you are doing this strategically, the CVCs are doing this strategically. So till a venture grows to a certain traction, okay, and the CVCs are clear that our strategic agenda can be plugged with it. Okay.
Sure.
It doesn't make sense to for them to get engaged. That is their.
So they are not worried much about the valuations and the expensive value of the company they're investing in.
No, I don't think it's so much got to do with the valuations. I think it is
more on the strategic alignment.
Yeah.
Because unlike the VCs where they create a pipe going from the early stage and then do the follow on just to make sure they have the enough stake in the company.
Yeah. So as I said, VCs are very clear. They want to maximize the IRR, and hence the valuations and all become very paramount importance.
Correct.
Right. But since CVCs are more strategically focused, so they will say, oh, he's at such an early stage. Will I be able to do a meaningful benefit both ways strategically or not?
Sure.
So let him come till a traction stage where I can add and get strategic benefit, and that is when it makes sense for me to engage.
Sure.
That would be one reason. Second question that you said is that they would like to co-invest and all. Why is
not
that?
Lead, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, not lead, right? That is because, as I said, many times the internal teams are weak. Okay. Because they are not operating in the investment market as market players. Okay. They think that they don't have the complete visibility on the market and its practices and benchmarks and all, right?
Sure.
So they feel a little underconfident. Okay. And they say, okay, let's ride out with a financial player. Okay. So who they assume knows the market much better, does the diligence much better, will also be tomorrow able to rope in the financial resources perhaps much better. Okay.
Sure.
So to mitigate their risks, they decide to piggy bank with somebody else and not lead the round.
So what is the preferred exit route of a CVC in this case?
From a CVC's perspective or the ventures perspective?
From a CVC's perspective.
See, exit routes to everyone in the market are the same. Okay, so
that's the financial return, but we are saying that here the financial ROI is probably lesser important.
The additional thing here for the CVC could be that they can take over that venture at some stage. Okay.
Sure.
And then they can build their existing business much faster like that. Okay.
Sure.
But if you want to treat it like financial investor, then the exit routes are same. So either you sell it to another investor, financial investor, or a strategic investor. Okay. Or you hope for the company to go IPO someday. Okay?
Sure.
But one constraint which will come here is, which would not come in an independent venture or a financially funded venture. Okay. You will not be able to sell many times to a competing firm. Okay. So a venture which has raised pure financial money can sell to anyone. Okay. And their investors would also want to sell it to anyone. Right.
Sure.
But let's say if Hero Honda has invested in a auto venture. Okay. they would not want that venture to get sold to, let's say, a Bajaj. May not, right?
Sure.
So that may kind of restrict,
narrow the part
window.
exit out. Yes,
You know?
makes sense. Very cool. So last 2 points, one from the corporate side and one from the founder side. What do you suggest to the founders as the right timing and right approach to find a CVC?
Oh, so I think from the founder's perspective, they should do a deep thinking, okay? That for their future growth, do they need money or do they need strategic support at this stage? Okay.
Mhm.
Can their business grow much more with the strategic support, or can their business grow much more with the financial support? I think the answer is simple. Okay.
Sure.
Because as I said, there's so much money available today in the world that actually, until unless you have a real strategic need to align or get benefit from a large corporate, okay, there's no need for you to approach a CVC.
Makes sense.
Right. But if you see that, okay, riding along with this CVC will bring a lot of strategic benefits to me, which will make my business grow much faster, much bigger than I can do with money, right?
Makes sense.
That is when you should go to CVCs. But if you think that they can't add strategic benefit to your business, I think you're better off sticking with financial investors.
So that kind of also answers the second part of the question that I asked, that how and who should they approach, right? Because once you have the strategic need understood, you know who those strategic partners are. So I think it's pretty clear that way.
Absolutely.
So on the businesses side, what is your one point telling them that you should be in the investing business?
Sorry, come again.
Your advice to the business houses who are not in the investing business yet, why they should be in the investing?
I think they don't have a choice today. Okay. See, I'm saying gone are the times when you were a large corporate and your same product will keep selling on for decades without you fearing disruption of market. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Today, because market is getting disrupted every 6 months, I think you don't have a choice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and technology has made a big difference to the world. You see, earlier, the entry barriers were the huge amount of capital or land or contacts and all that stuff, and which is why, you know, these big large corporates could not be disrupted easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
But today, because everything is tech, and tech can be made in a garage also. Okay, a tech made in garage can disrupt a large organization. Okay, so I think corporates today do not have a choice. Okay, because the world around them is changing so fast. Okay, and their internal teams cannot do everything. Specifically, when internal teams, as you know, in some way they are more focused on preserving their job. Okay, the bureaucracy takes over, right? So there is only so much growth that you can create internally, while exponential growth is getting created outside. Okay, so if you want your business to remain relevant tomorrow, okay, you have to dig into all those exponential growth avenues happening around you and work with them. Okay.
Sure. Makes sense. No, I think that's a very, very compulsive argument of why every corporate should actually have an investing arm seriously looked upon.
Absolutely.
Great. Oh, the brilliant conversation, Rajesh. Thank you so much for sharing all your insights.
Thanks for insightful questions.
My pleasure.
Questions bring a lot of knowledge to your.
No, I found I learned a lot of things today with this conversation. I am very sure and hopeful that our audience will find it equally valuable, learning from what you have shared today about the whole CVC structure, strategies, investing practices, and so on. Really appreciate your taking time for us today, Rajesh. Thank you so much.